Yeah, I mean, obviously Daniel's balling in Indy right now, so that's a part of conversation. Dable was so good with Buffalo and so good with Josh, and then he was really good in 22 with Daniel when they go to the playoffs. I don't know if the lack of creativity is attached to the quarterback, you know, and
whether he can't call it.
Yeah, whether we just have to run these plays because that's all he's capable of or willing to operate right now.
And the reason why I asked you that is because maybe you are more expansive with Jackson Dart.
Have to be.
Based on the talent, the athleticism, maybe you can implement more. I always think about it like this. The context of if you start the young guy, is he grasping not only the playbook, what is his preparation like during the week? There's a maturity process, and you know this is better than anybody, especially with a quarterback where your week of preparation tells your coach, we can put this on the plate for him this particular week.
Yeah.
And for everybody out there, like when you actually get into the season and you game planning, it's so much more condensed than the information that they're giving you in training camp. That's for every position in football. So him being able to not only adjust to what the game plan specifically is going to be with the Chargers, I have to believe that was a bigger part of the decision making to start him. And obviously we know what you were going to get out of Russ the rest of the way. His book is out on him.
I think they think they can do more with him than they can with him. I mean, at this point, the Russell Wilson offense is pretty limited. You saw that in Pittsburgh last year. When those deep balls are connecting, you saw that last week, it's great. The problem is not really thrown over the middle of the field and the lack of an intermediate, efficient passing game, or short, to be honest. First of all, I'd like to say the next time a team drafts a quarterback in the first round and people tell us they're going to sit, I'm going to laugh in their faces.
Unless it's Green Bay.
Unless it's Green Bay. Unless this is like a Super Bowl team, but we knew this was going to happen.
Top 5 ever.
Right. Or, I mean, people always point to Patrick Mahomes and forget Alex Smith was extremely good at that point. This is a different situation. I'm already thinking about the Chargers and just how they can set them up to succeed after watching that defense against Bo Nix. They got to run the ball well. I thought Cam Scatterbo looked really good.
Totally.
But that Chargers defense, if you can't run the ball on them, good luck.
Yeah.
You have to be able to run them out of some of those shells. Dart has to take what's available to him underneath. He has to be patient. But when those deep shots are available, and you saw this with Denver, Sean Payton dialed up double moves. Because they play so top down, you can beat them over the top. The quarterback needs to connect on that. Bo Nix didn't. That's what I want to see from Jackson Dart. I'm not asking him to shred the Chargers, but I would love to see one or two of those.
And also identifying every play.
Yeah. It'll be
number 3
if they go a lot of no huddle as well. You know, obviously his college, we saw it in the preseason.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope if you do it and it's not working, but if you do it and it's working, you can get some energy going.
I want to see how much he moved the pocket too. You know, that was a big thing with him and Josh in Buffalo.
And defenses don't necessarily love that, right?
And it's hard to play quarterbacks for the first time. I tell y'all this, that's why the backups are always so popular when they come in the game. You know, my dog Rich Eisen was telling me, they got a chance with Jake Brown in. And I was like, Rich, no, they don't. It was a good week.
Reality.
All right, let's get back to the action of last night. An incredible game on Monday Night Football between the Lions and the Ravens. And that is where we go now. Lamar Jackson trying to make something happen at home with this team. And here they are in their first opportunity, this time tied, and Lamar and Mark Andrews connecting.
Yeah, that was one of Lamar's just great throws last night. We've seen the creativity of this offense come back, which has been beautiful the last 2 weeks. The toss, flea flicker, throwback, Amon-Ra St. Brown was all over the place.
It was a goal of the Lions to dominate time of possession. That's exactly what they did, but this offense was clicking on all cylinders. It was really fun to see the connection throughout for them, as it was a crazy environment in there too. It was super loud. David Montgomery, you called this, Swagoo. You thought he was about to break out.
Well, you could see throughout the game that they were getting the blocking schemes that they wanted, and eventually one of these were going to pop.
Such a back and forth offensive battle. The defenses showed up at times too, but tied at 21 at that point. We go to the fourth quarter, and here is Goff handing it off to St. Brown. He pitches it to Gibbs.
Dan Campbell was on the teams back in the day with the Cowboys and the Saints as a player that ran this very same play.
Yeah, a lot of people called it Ben Johnson's offense. I think Dan Campbell had a heavy hand in that. Here was an unfortunate part for Derrick Henry. He's got to clean up these fumbles, and he was devastated after this happened, as you might imagine. A huge turning point in the game. You see how frustrated he was. So then another chance, I know.
He must have tripped.
Another chance, though, for Lamar Jackson. And Aiden Hutchinson said, no thanks.
Well, y'all know how much I was in love with this. The rush plan was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I saw Lamar get put on the ground without one of them back-breaking runs.
It's David Montgomery with the handoff. This seals the game with the touchdown. Hilarious. Jared Goff was telling him to go down, and then I asked him about it after the game. He's like, I was confused about what
Score.
Yeah.
Score. Don't score.
The score is better, and then for Lamar Jackson, it was disappointment. Here's what he said after the
I feel like week 1 was a wake-up call. You know, not just this loss. Week 1 was a wake-up call. Last week was a wake-up call, you know, because we started off slow last week, and, you know, we got beat tonight. The Lions had a great game plan. I feel like offense and defense for those guys played great. We just got to find a way to win.
He ready.
That's my point.
Yeah.
We're talking about Kelvin Shepard, the DC for the Lions. How did the Lions defense keep the Ravens contained last night, Swag?
It was the first time I saw an aggressive rush get Lamar on the ground and also being super sound, right? This goes back to years of us being together on this show about a rush plan and every other guy playing off the other guy. Opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, Muhammad was out of his mind last night rushing the passer. The interior guys pushed the pocket, as you can see. It was condensed and chased. They kept a spy on him at times. I think that changed the look up for Lamar. And even at those times where you thought he was going to break out and make one of those big breaking runs, they were able to get around his feet and get him on the ground. I thought it was a phenomenal idea last night to allow Aiden Hutchinson to get all the attention and everybody else benefit from it. And you could tell that they made it a point, Detroit made it a point to keep their spies close to the line of scrimmage to perceive that it was an early rush.
Can I ask you something on that?
Go ahead.
Because usually it's the rush, keep them in the pocket, almost build the wall. It felt like they were intentionally getting around the edge and forcing him up into the pocket.
Absolutely.
Have we not seen that before?
With Lamar, it's very rare you see it because one miss turns into 50 yards. But they were really, like Kelvin Shepard, the defense coordinator, was willing to roll the dice. He had a lot of faith in Jack Campbell and Ancellotti last night with getting Lamar on the ground or at least getting him bottled up in order to keep him in structure so people could get him on the ground. It was just a phenomenal job. It was super athletic.
Coverage was tight.
And cover was, I was just about to say.
You made him hold on to the football. When you're watching the TV copy, Lamar's back there patting, and your Ravens fans are screaming, throw the ball! No one's open because they got bodies in coverage. And there were moments in the game where they would show pressure and then they would drop into coverage. I love this 3rd and 13 play. They showed an all-out blitz. Both linebackers dropped, but I love, Marcus, how they dropped to different depths.
Absolutely.
So one of the backers took away the middle of the field, the throwing lanes, and then the other spied them. So Lamar, he's sitting there patting. They keep both the running back and Mark Andrews in to pass protect, so nobody's open. You got 3 guys running routes. And I'm watching this as a 3rd and 13, thinking that is a brilliant pass rush.
Okay, the second level, the second level is so important, and I'm so glad you said that. When we played Michael Vick with Atlanta, it was about having guys on separate levels because most of the time he was going to make the first guy miss.
Yeah.
The job of that second level guy was to shoot his shot and make
the
sure
one
we
closer.
get him, the one further away.
Oh, really?
The one closer was supposed to corral. Like, that's the one you want to make. The second level guy, as soon as that move or that initiation of potential contact, he is shooting. In order to get him to stop or change direction and the rest of the pursuit come. If you noticed last night, a lot of those sacks were from behind Lamar.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot in his face, and it was because of those levels that you talked about and guys just making sure they got him slowed up enough for the pursuit to get home.
Man, that's a good conversation. My favorite drive was the goal line stand defensively. I think the things that stood out were the preparation, communication, and then fundamentals. You know, because all 4 times, the Ravens sprint out of the huddle and quick snap it. And all 4 times, you see the Lions running sideline to sideline, communicating who's got where. And then there was like individual efforts of Campbell and Hutch and Branch. Guys just doing the fundamental things, keeping leverage, keeping the ball inside. 4 snaps in a row to quick count the defense and not once gained an advantage. They even went unbalanced one time. Campbell called it out breaking out of the huddle. He was like, imbalance, get over. Kelvin Shepard, that was the first time this year I've walked away in regards to Kelvin Shepard being like, They'll be fine.
Yeah.
They won't skip a beat. They were ready.
It was fascinating watching Shepard on the sideline. He was constantly in communication with Anzalone and also Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell also during the goal line stand ripped his lip open.
Yeah, I saw
had
that.
blood gushing out of his mouth. It goes over to the sideline.
Of course he did.
They
So
got
Dan
it all.
Campbell.
It was
Of
so
course.
Jack Campbell, right?
So Dan
Jack and
Campbell.
Dan.
Those two Campbells, you know, they're cut from the same
It was a
cloth,
great
but
plan.
You just saw the toughness, but also the discipline
I
of
just
this
was
Lions
so
defense.
impressed with the willingness to say we're going to physically dominate the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Y'all got to imagine that is not the conversation when you play the Ravens.
Yeah.
No.
Most teams
double
do not
spy,
feel
man.
like
Well,
that.
I don't think I've seen
Yeah,
that.
that was fascinating. Dan
Levels-wise.
Campbell said they were taking the model from Pittsburgh. They said Pittsburgh's given the Ravens trouble for years, and it's because of that physical style and dominating time of possession. All right, we're just
Flag.
Oh, let's talk Vikings, you guys. Interesting stuff. Carson Wentz got the win for the Vikings on Sunday. Has only been on the field for 46 offensive plays this season, half as many as J.J. McCarthy, but the Vikings offense has looked a lot better with Wentz under center. Not only are they averaging more yards per pass attempt, but 2 more yards per rush, and the Vikings have not turned it over with Wentz on the field this season. Now, Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell was asked if once J.J. McCarthy is healthy, he will immediately return to start, and here's what he said.
I think, the first and foremost, he's got to get healthy. And then throughout that process, it's not just, I don't think it's one of those things where it's, hey, the day he's healthy, and if he's healthy the night before a game, we're going to just throw him out there and say, hey, go figure it out type of thing.
Marcus's face.
Because I told y'all yesterday it was a quarterback controversy.
Dan.
I told y'all. man.
Uh-oh. What did you see from Wentz on Sunday?
Yeah, first of all, Christian Darrisaw matters a ton for
Yeah.
the offense. A ton. Totally helped with the protection. I think the two things were he was really reactionary, which was a big deal. I think that sped up the style of their pass game. Like, he reacted to coverage a little bit faster than JJ has. I think the second thing was the timing of their pass game was really good. I was not expecting that he was going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hit his back foot, and the ball would come out to, a backside post or an outbreaker to the field. So that was something that, I think JJ sitting back and watching once again, going, all right, again, Darrisaw being a part of that matter. So the reaction and the timing were a big deal. 2 good, 1 bad. You still saw 3 or 4 sacks where you're like, don't do that, stop holding it, don't do that. And so if he can 1 or 2 a game, get rid of that, I do think that there's a lot of good to the style of play that he showed.
Yeah, I just don't think you can, before I get to the defense, you can't overlook what he did with Sam Darnold last year. It's a part of the equation. And this is about winning. I'm going to go to the defensive side because obviously there's a lot of onus put on that while you're figuring out this quarterback spot. But Brian Flores is back to his old habits, and it works. And none other than the perfect Cincinnati Bengals who are going to land up in shotgun 700 times a game and allow you to disguise. You look at around the line of scrimmage, this is how you're always fooled. And now you get out of this late, but now we have confusion on the offensive line. We're trying to figure it out. I love these condensed tackles as well to have a game situation. It looks like the whole team is going to rush. It's only 4 and they're running games. The offensive line is trying to figure out not only who's coming, but also how do we pass these games off. And the mind tricks that are happening
Bro, he
with
just
protection.
showed 3 coverage.
That was diabolical.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, for y'all know, y'all look at that prism, and you and Mino are 2 of the best at it. When you start talking about the back end and obviously RC, I look up front because my whole career was spent trying to confuse or dictate protection.
Right.
And he does a better job as anyone in the league. Now, you got to trust your guys.
Yeah.
You got to trust them to get their depth.
The timing of
coverage.
it.
You got to trust the timing. And that's why sometimes with Ben Johnson, when he has success, a lot of quick snaps to catch you.
Sure.
Yeah.
But they aren't going to do that in Cincinnati. We know it.
Yep.
Cincinnati knows it.
Yep.
The whole world knows it. And that was set up perfectly for Brian Flores to have a day like he had.
Mina, if they do go back to J.J. McCarthy when he's healthy, what does need to change?
He just got to play faster. I mean, it's as simple as that. You mentioned Carson Wentz did take a few sacks, but outside of those sacks, he was hitting his first read like bam. 2.44 time to throw. J.J. McCarthy this season is 3.15, which is, if not the longest, close to it in football. The first read is open in Kevin O'Connell's office. Yeah, this was like proof of concept for that. So many of the passing concepts I thought so well executed. The receivers getting open. Jordan Addison back is huge, but McCarthy's just got to pull the trigger faster. He has to trust the scheme and not more than his eyes. He has to trust what the offense is giving to him.
Dan, what do you do? What do you do with the situation with JJ and Carson? What do you do?
Yeah, I still think you're going, okay, you're taking it week by week. Like, if Carson Wentz comes in and continues to play well, there's a reality where if the defense and him are complementary, he's playing at a high level, you're not rushing him off the field. You know, you want to get JJ healthy, and I agree, he's got to play faster. I just think it's a week-by-week thing. I honestly believe that. And you got to be honest with your quarterbacks and your football team. If Carson continues to play at a high level, you're not taking him off the field.
Oof. Could be an interesting conundrum if that carries on. Right. Time for some top stories. Big questions in Washington, where wide receiver Terry McLaurin is uncertain to play Sunday versus Atlanta due to his quad injury, per a source. He's seeking more information about the injury. Now, remember, Jaden Daniels working his way back from the knee injury that sidelined him last week. So something to keep an eye on there with the Commanders. Now, Bucs wide receiver Mike Evans is expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks with a strained left hamstring, sources telling ESPN. An MRI on Tuesday showed that Evans has a moderate strain. He missed 3 games with a hamstring injury last season, has just struggled keeping those hamstrings healthy. And in Tennessee, there are changes for rookie quarterback Cam Ward in that offense. Titans head coach Brian Callahan is relinquishing his game day play calling job to quarterback coach Bo Hartegreaves. That's interesting, something to keep an eye on there. And the Texans are releasing safety CJ Gardner-Johnson. Gardner-Johnson started all 3 games this season. Interesting move there. Obviously, he's been a part of multiple teams, but no longer going to be with the Texans. All right, still to 12 personnel. How offenses are using 2 tight ends on the field at the same time. All right, so look at these numbers that Mina dug up for us. She's got more coming too. And teams have been leaning on 12 personnel at a higher rate this season on nearly 24% of offensive plays, the highest rate since tracking began in the 2007 season. It's up from 16.5% in the 2018 season, which was the low point in that span. So not only is it being used more league-wide, it was a major factor in last night's game. Dan, show us how the Lions use 12 personnel in their run game.
Yeah, the simplest way is that they're taking advantage of the size of the defense that teams want to put out there. So the Lions come out with their 12 personnel, so that just means, again, 1 back, but the focus point is those 2 tight ends, okay? Now, what does the defense present? The defense matches with what we call nickel, 5 defensive backs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that nickel defender right there. So those are little bodies and really only 2 linebackers. If I'm running the football, advantage me, because what the Lions do is they start those tight ends left and they flip them. Now, what you'll see from the defense is they don't really adjust. Back in the day, you would flip the whole defense. They just kick these linebackers this way, and so that nickel defender is left to play in the box in the run game. The Lions take advantage of that. They're just going to run a very basic off-tackle scheme. And so the reality for us offensive people is we have a left tackle, left guard, pushing up to a nickel back. So we're talking 600 plus pounds that are responsible for just that defensive end and 180-pound defensive back. Just look at the push and average depth that they get. I mean, we're chasing after people in the run game from an offensive perspective, and that's strictly because when we put 2 tight ends on the field and you as a defense want to remain in nickel, and when we move those guys and you leave that nickel defender to play in the run game, we have a massive advantage from the start of the play of how much we just get to push those bodies.
So you're watching that and you're thinking, all right, well, just play base then when they put 2 tight ends on the field. Like, why don't you put your big bodies against our big bodies? And overwhelmingly, that is how defenses counter 12 personnel. Over 60% of the time, they do put base, meaning just 4 defensive backs on the field. The problem is, when you do that, you can get shredded in the pass by 12 personnel. And I know it seems like, wow, just a yard. That's a big deal in the NFL. That's a huge gap in success rate. Essentially, what has happened over the last few years is defense have gone lighter,
right?
Playing more
because the space, RPO, athleticism.
This was an 11 personnel league until recently.
3 or 4 years ago, everyone was an 11.
If you do this, if you put an extra tight end on the field, you're either forcing them to play left-handed in the pass because they're not used to it, or as Dan laid out, defend the run with lighter bodies. Essentially, you get to hunt matchups.
See, that's the thing that is the starting point from an offensive perspective is tight end really is the one position that I could put on the field that I dictate to the defense who you put on the field.
Yep.
And then I gather information about who you're putting on the field. Like if I put wide receivers, you're putting defensive backs. If I put running backs, you're putting defensive linemen or linebackers. Tight ends, that's when I get to dictate who.
One of them has to be able to block for this to work.
Yeah.
Yes, or capable and willing to
not
be
like
able
a
to block.
mauler, but
Really fast before we see your tape, was this a conscious effort that teams started doing this, or did it just happen by accident?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it started probably about 5 years ago when the running game started to come back into the NFL 4 or 5 years ago. And then the RPO started to dissipate a little bit, is getting back to, okay, we want to run the football. We want to put the quarterback under center. You have to have that sixth person, that tight end person that takes advantage of both of those run and or pass.
Detroit last year would do it with Dan Skipper. They would get to a 12 personnel. Yeah, 6 offensive lineman stuff. Similar concept. I think also what evolved is now you got true tight ends that can play like wide receivers.
Yeah.
Which when we were playing, it was two big body guys get out in routes, but it wasn't like those guys are now to exploit matchups. This is a great example of what Detroit did last night. This is Brock Wright and Sam Laporta on the field. They line them up in the backfield. See the confusion that's going on with the defense because you're trying to match personnel like Dan and Mina talked about. You got 8 in the box. What you're saying right now is we got an overhang. We got a free hitter to the ball. They motion Raymond in, and now you got a hat for a hat.
Right.
This is what you can get to and comfortable with because you got 2 tight ends, big bodies on big bodies. And this is why all night I was saying they gonna find one. The first contact is made with the free safety Malachi Starks. Again, condensed splits.
2 tight ends there?
Chicago, 2 tight ends there. Chicago, now we got to bring bodies up to the line of scrimmage. This tells the defensive front, it's run. We have to pay attention to the run first. Jared Goff thrives. This is a play action pass. We also can pick up the extra blitzer because it's an extra body with your running back.
Right.
He's the extra guy.
Right.
Now you get this long pass concept, the dig from Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's a one-on-one, and you're able to push the ball down the field. So what both of y'all are saying is absolutely correct. And I love when we're on the show together because we look at it from different prisms. I look at it from the prism of when you're up front, it's about numbers and how can we dictate. Defensively, we're always trying to find a free hitter to the football.
Right.
Who's that guy? Is it Kyle Hamilton? Is it Derwin James?
Yeah.
Is it Malachi Starks?
And we're trying to get the ball to the free hitter.
To the free hitter, right? The running back job, make them miss, right? And gain yards after that. In 12, when you can put big bodies on the field, the free hitter becomes the free safety.
Correct.
The guy that's furthest away
Advantage
from
us.
the advantage.
And I think what you're seeing offenses do is package plays for the quarterback. Like if you scout and you're the Detroit Lions and you want to get into your 12 personnel and you know that Baltimore wants to match nickel, what they're doing is calling the run first in the huddle.
Absolutely.
And Jared, if they come out in its base, then we can get to a pass play or something like that. So you are in such an advantage for an offense. And I think part of it too, Marcus, you know this, is these teams that have committed to running 12 and putting the quarterback under center, there's a strain that they put on their offensive line of like, they might have one more than us.
Absolutely.
You have to push them. It's not the perfect RPO type thing, and there's a mentality attached to it.
That's why I also think Detroit are masters at it.
Yeah.
Because they're one of the teams that get enough blockers for everybody.
Right.
Like if you look at that game last night, not only the physicality about Baltimore, majority of the time when they were in 12, it was a hat for a hat.
Yeah.
And that is the worst.
And they got the tight ends who can do it.
Yeah, that was the worst thing.
Don't you feel like that's another component of this? And we're talking about how defense has been light, so that sort of led to this. This is also, I wouldn't say a golden age of tight ends, but if you look at the tight ends who have been drafted over the last few years,
Powers.
Going back to like, okay, if you're in 12 personnel, you can attack base defense because you got a linebacker and a tight end. I'm watching the Indianapolis Colts go after Denver Broncos, who have one of the best defenses in the NFL. Do you have a tape of that?
Of course.
Why are we talking about this?
This is the example of
Tyler Warren on the backer.
This is
Come
it.
on.
This is
I mean,
the
this
12
about as
personnel
big of a
when you're
mismatch
playing
as you're
base
gonna get.
defense. This is what Mina's talking about.
This was not planned.
Yeah, so like the Broncos have base. They have 2 linebackers, and so Warren on the backside is matched up on a linebacker in coverage.
That's the one you want.
Yep.
That's a massive advantage for the offense.
Yep.
All these first-round tight ends, first and second-round tight ends. I mean, Tucker Kraft in Green Bay, Trey McBride in Arizona. Kraft is a good blocker, but usually if you just have a guy who's capable, I don't know, like a John Bates or an Oliver in Minnesota, if you got a tight end who's like an athlete, the way these young tight ends are right now in the league.
And I just don't think defenses are built to handle them.
Okay, so that's my question. Which defenses are built to handle them, and how and why? Like, what do you do against these offenses that are executing 12 personnel so well?
Green Bay comes to mind.
Green Bay comes to mind. Chargers because of Derwin James.
Yeah.
Correct.
That can play in the box. San Francisco was there. I'm not sure if they're there anymore, but when they had Dre Greenlaw, Ufunga, and Fred Warner together, they could play it.
The spine of that the Eagles defense, the backers that they've got allowed.
I think you got to have
like crazy.
old school, heavy-handed, run-stopping defensive ends.
Yep.
Because they got to be willing to take on the tight ends. I think these offenses that the Bills and the Packers and the Chargers and the Lions that are moving those tight ends as well. Back in the day, defenses used to flip with them, and so they would have their run stoppers towards the tight ends.
Strong.
And nowadays, you're not really seeing that. Teams are just playing stagnant
that's the point.
defensively.
When you just said Philly, Carter and Jordan Davis gives them the opportunity to just shift instead of having to switch guys, which is what we used to do, right? We would walk, and again, the literal body of safeties. We had Roy Williams in Dallas who played as heavy as 230.
Yeah.
Played as heavy as your linebackers. But we got exposed when Jeremy Shockey came into the picture with the New York Giants because now you force him into coverage. It's a conundrum.
Yeah.
Like you need freaks. You can't just have a run stopper. You can't just have a light linebacker. You need a lot of players.
The good offenses right now in the NFL, they're all doing it. They're all using 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, and I just don't think there's a lot of defenses that human-wise, like personnel-wise, match up to handle it.
It speaks to how important drafting is and
100%.
Development even of your own players.
Totally.
But what an incredible, fascinating conversation.
Tight ends
They're making them different these days.
I think it's the most important position in offensive football right now.
Good so early. That's what's different.
Yeah.
You would Week 4 NFL Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern with the Countdown Crew. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you can do that, but we're going to do this instead. Every Tuesday, we look at what went wrong for the losing teams on Sunday. Let's start with the Packers, and actually we're going to start with the Falcons at this point. The Falcons struggled in many ways, and they lost 30-0 to the Panthers. Not only did the Falcons fail to score on Sunday, they failed to even make it to the Carolina 30-yard line. They are the first team since the start of last season to fail to run a single play inside their opponent's 30-yard line. And, what went wrong for the Falcons?
I swear my thing glitched out when I saw that score.
Yeah.
So did I. Wearing Falcons colors.
The offense is just so predictable. First of all, they don't throw to the middle of the field at all.
Yeah.
Michael Penix Jr. has 2% of his throws between the hashes, the lowest of any quarterback in football. Second highest outside the numbers behind Jordan Love. The difference is Jordan Love pushes the ball downfield. This offense is all outs, pitches, throws to the flats. Of course, defenders are going to start jumping in. There's no run-pass conflict. You know when Bijan's going to carry the football.
Yep.
So defenses don't have to think. So it's too easy to play right now because they know exactly what they're getting on just about every snap.
Yeah, predictable is 100% the word. I have a massive issue with the pistol with them. And I think it hurts their run action, play action. I think it hurts their run, even though it's a good run offense. It could be elite. And then I think it hurts Michael Penix and his movement. So 3 clips. This is going to be a bootleg play action. I want everyone to just pay attention to the defensive end up top. So for everyone to remain just aware, this is the pistol, right? Like the quarterback is in the shotgun, the back line directly behind him. Teams do that because they say they want to keep the symmetry of the offense and not offset the back. But when you go run action like this out of the pistol, I look at the defensive end and I go, there's no stress. Like there's no stress to make this guy run down the line of scrimmage with if I'm under center. That defensive end would be stretching down the line of scrimmage and scraping. But because Penix just turns around, goes like this, he doesn't feel any strain there. And so we're going to a naked bootleg. That defensive end's in our face. And so my thought is we aren't selling anything on the backside. Then the run game. This is the thing that I have with their biggest issue with their run game. In the pistol, Bijan's 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Starting point is 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage. They're just running their zone scheme. Now, I want you guys to pay attention. That ball's going to get snapped at about the 33. The 2 things that stand out are Bijan gets the handoff. He is still 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Look at the separation between Bijan and the offensive line. Now, ball gets snapped on the 33. That offensive line creates a new line of scrimmage, essentially. Like, they get really good push. But look, Bijan's cutting already. Bijan is 5 or 6 yards behind that offensive line with a great push. Like, I was around Alex Gibbs, one of the great zone coaches of all time. He used to yell at Arian Foster, press the block, because the seam will present itself. There is a huge seam right here for Bijan Robinson to go hit his head on the goalpost, but he's already cutting. He's dancing. He's 2 yards still behind the line of scrimmage.
Wow.
A touchdown becomes a 2-yard run. I think it's directly tied to how deep he's getting the ball. And the last part is this. This is a poor decision by the quarterback, no question. But again, because they're in the shotgun so much, or the pistol so much, Michael Penix almost is made to be a statue. Like, there are so many clips where he doesn't even move his feet because they promote that style of play. That's my issue with this offense is they're in the pistol so much. I think it hurts their action game. There's no displacement from the second or third level. It's a catch and throw offense. And again, even though their run game is good, I think it should be the best or one of them because they're missing hits.
To your point, the run game is good because Bijan is special.
And their line is good.
And their line is good, but your depth, but pistol to us ain't number shotgun. So you're not changing the picture at all. And it's so ironic that we come off a discussion of 12 personnel and we get to this with Atlanta and we see them struggling offensively. One thing is it puts no stress on your interior guys. Right? Because this action, like say we lined up, come line up right here, and you the back, I'm the quarterback. If you're offset, this action right here forces me to press the line of scrimmage. Can we go back to that Carolina play? Go back to the last one on the stretch, on the zone stretch. I'm gonna show the run, the one after this one. All right. So I want to point this interior shade technique out. Go with the play. Let the play flow, Dio. All right. Now, at this point, stop the ball. Stop the play right there. Right here, if he's pressed in the line of scrimmage, this leverage from this offensive lineman is telling him to hit that seam you're pointing out right now.
Get to the back.
To the back.
100%.
Right? So hand it off. I'm gonna tell you again. So hand it off, Dio. Look, this right here is a negative for a defensive lineman. To have your body like that. I am parallel to the line of scrimmage. I am no longer playing run. When we get like
you're
this,
not
we're
upfield
playing
at all.
pass.
Okay.
We're not upfield. But run it, and because of the depth, and Bijan doesn't see the crease, I want y'all to watch who makes the play. He's never supposed to make that play on a back like this. But it takes so long to develop that he can be out of his technique and still make a play on a run now.
I wish we could just now watch Jahmyr Gibbs running under center, outside zone.
He's on it right now.
Because of the depth, yes, exactly. You watch the entire defense flowing when he takes a false step and then boom, he's off.
They're pressing the block.
Yes, he has the advantage because the defense constantly, they don't have enough time to figure out.
We have literally walked to the sideline in games when I was playing D-line. And we used to deal with this a lot with McGahee when he was in Washington. Coach, he's at the line of scrimmage in a half set.
And then the cut happens.
And the cut happens. And that is the most difficult run to stop. Please line them up 8 yards in the backfield. We'll be fine all game.
Best player on the offense.
I just think that the pistol is really impacting their level of play. There's another round.
This is a standing round table. This is a standing up table. All right, we got more coming your way.
Down, and instead the defense makes a huge stand, and they got a chance now to close this game out.
On the ground to start the drive with Pacheco. He'll be taken down after a gain of 2. Once again, it's Pacheco. And he'll take this ahead for a gain of about 5, and here comes 3rd down. Out of the gun, here's Mahomes. Oh, in trouble. Down he goes.
A 6-yard loss. It's 4th down.
Two minutes remain in the 4th quarter. Greg and I back on EA Sports after this. On 4th down, on is the Chiefs' new punter for 2024, Matt Ariza. Ronnie Bell is back deep to return it. This is taken at the 25. Oh, how about the coverage there? Met and dropped before he can get a return going. This is 1st and 10. They'll motion over Samuel. They'll drop to throw. Caught. This is Ayuk. Here's 2nd down. From the shotgun, it's Purdy. Looking middle there, but it's incomplete. Trying to get it to Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. 3rd down coming up. Out of the gun, it's Purdy. Has his man, it's Samuel. And he's into the end zone yet again. Deebo Samuel. Touchdown, San Francisco. Make it 4 touchdowns for him on the afternoon. So that one, his 4th touchdown catch of the game. That is one behind the single game